This is Gemara in Kesubos Daf Ayin Ches. All the learning of this month, the month of Elul, should bring an incredible zchos, Aliyah, neshama, laaster, Reyzel, Basra, Mair, Mirz Hashem, the learning the entire Chabura. Today, as we begin a new parak, the 8th parak of Kesubos should bring us to Reyzel, Basra, Mair to an higher place in Gan Eden Shel Maila. And we begin the new parak, which teaches us Aisha shenaflo lo nechasim ad shaloi tizaris. We have a woman in which properties fell to her before Erisin. We have a single girl, she inherits properties, and what happens, says Rashi, even in Tarsa, and then she goes and she does Erisin. So the properties fell to her before Erisin, and then she subsequently goes and does Erisin. Moedim beishama beisil shemacheres v'nesenes v'kayim. Both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are in agreement that she's able to sell these properties, or she's able to give away these properties, v'kayim, and the sale, or the fact that she gives away the properties is valid. Nafla la. The Mishnah continues and teaches us Misha Nisarsa. But let's say she already does Erisin. She is already engaged, and then properties fell to her. Beis Shammai oimrim timachar. Says Beis Shammai, while she is in Arusa, she's allowed to sell the properties. Rashi fills in the missing details again. But once she does Nisuin, she cannot sell the properties anymore, as the Mishnah explains. So she does Erisin, properties fell to her. Beis Shammai says she's still allowed to sell the properties. Beis Hillel oimrim lo timkar. Says Beis Hillel, no, she's not allowed to sell the properties anymore. Elu ve'elu moedim. Says the Mishnah, both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are in agreement that even in this case, in which properties fell to her after Erisin, then she subsequently sells those properties, she's allowed to sell them. Beis Shammai said, seemingly even lechatchila, and Beis Hillel said she shouldn't do it. But they're both in agreement that if she does, the sale is valid. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amru Chacham l'fnei Rav Gamliel. The Chachamim said to Rav Gamliel, Hoyel v'zacha b'isha l'yischa b'nechasim. I don't understand. Just like a husband is zoicha in his wife with erisin, why is he not being zoicha? Why is he not meriting her properties? The Gemara Rashi points out is going to explain exactly which cases is going on. Amr Lahem, Rav Gamliel responds, Al Chadashim Al Anu Baishim. On this new halacha, I don't understand. We're embarrassed, as we're going to see what that means in a moment. Shatem Ela Shatem Megalgim Aleino as a Yeshanim. But now you're coming to ask us a new halacha. So Rav Gamliel said, I don't understand the one halacha already, and now you're compounding matters. You're making it worse by explaining another halacha that I don't understand. Continues the Mishnah. Naflala Misha Niseis. What happens if after Nisuin she's a full-fledged married woman and properties fall to her? Then Elu ve'elu maidim shemracha v'nasna shaval moitzi ben al-kuchais. Everyone agrees that if she tries to sell or give away the property, not only seemingly is she not allowed to do it, but the husband can go and take the property away from the purchasers. Ad shaloi niseis v'niseis. What happens if the properties fell to her prior to nisuin? Ad shaloi niseis. And then she goes and she does nisuin. Rav Gamliel oimer, says Rav Gamliel. And Rashi points out, what does it mean before nisuin? Either the case is she did Erisin, or the properties fell to her prior to Erisin, and then she does Nisuin. So actually Nisis, V'Nisis. Then she goes and she does Nisuin. So again, property fell to her, and then she does Nisuin. So now she's a fully married woman. Let's just get the case clear. With properties that fell to her prior to her being a fully married woman. Says the Mishnah, Rav Gamliel Emir Marchav Nasna Kayim. Says Rav Gamliel, if she sells or gives away the properties, the sale is good. Amar Rav Chanani ben Akavya, Amru lifnei Rav Gamliel, Hoyel v'zacha b'isha l'yischa b'nechasim. Says Rav Chanani ben Akavya, I don't understand. The same question we saw before. Since the husband merits and gets his wife, he's not going to get her properties. So what's going on over here? They already did nisuin. Why is the sale of the woman valid? And again, Rav Gamliel responds, Amar lahem, Adel Chadashim, and Abayshim, Shadim, Megagam, Lena, Yeshanim. I don't understand the new halacha. And you're asking me an old halacha? Rav Shimon, Chaylek, Bein Nechasim, Lenechasim. The Mishnah concludes, and again, it's true that this line of the Chachamim asking Rav Gamliel, and Rav Gamliel keep on responding, I don't understand the old halacha. You're asking me a new halacha. We haven't fully explained yet, but we'll get there in the Gemara. But now says the Mishnah, Rav Shimon, Choylek, Bein Nechasim and Nechasim. Rav Shimon says there's a differentiation depending on the type of properties. Nechasim hayedun lebal, loy timkar. That which the husband knows about, she is not able to sell. What does it mean? He knows about that. The Gemara will explain. And if she tries, it doesn't work. So let's just work backwards. If Shimon is making a differentiation whether her husband knows about the properties, she can't sell them. If he doesn't know about the properties, she could sell them. The first part of the Mishnah, we had multiple levels in this woman's marriage and what will happen with the sale. The Mishnah began with teaching us halacha, she properties she got while she was single, everyone agrees she give away. Properties she got after Erusin, after engagement, Machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, whether she could sell them. Everyone agrees, if she sold them, they're good. Rav Gamliel didn't seem to understand this halacha. The next level was property she got from Nisuin. Everyone agrees she can't sell them. And finally, property she got before Nisuin, and then she does Nisuin, Rav Gamliel said the sale is going to be valid. So we have basically three different stages. We have when she was single, we have after engagement, and we have after Nisuin. Says the Gemara, Maishna Reisha Deloy Pligi, Maishna Seifa De Pligi. What is going on in the Mishnah? And as Rashi so eloquently explains, Maishna Reisha Deloy Pligi Arin is Arsa. They did an engagement. And because they were her properties before engagement, his possession on this matter is weakened, and therefore if she sells them, it's going to work. And why in the next case? Why in the next case of the Mishnah, in which she sold them, she inherited the properties after Erusin, all of a sudden there's a machlokes. What's the difference? Answers the Gemara, Amri Dvei Rav Yanai, Reisha bizchusa nafloi, Seifa bizchusoi nafloi. In the Reisha, when did the properties falter? They fell to her while she was a single girl. Bizchusa. He didn't have any merit in her yet, and therefore they were 100% hers. Whereas in the next case of the Mishnah, bizchusoi, the husband already had some ownership over this woman, and that's the reason why the din changes. Asks the Gemara, Im bizchusai naflai. If you're telling me that in the second part of the Mishnah, the properties fell bizchusai after the husband already had some ownership of the woman, so why did both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that says Beis Shammai she shouldn't sell it, but everyone agrees if she sold it works? Why is everyone in agreement that the sale would be valid? Says the Gemara, you're right, a noob shot. The Reisha must be talking about that the property fell bizchusa while she was single and she was fully owned by herself. Seifa, and the Seifa, we're not sure. Eimar bizchusa, Eimar bizchusa. In the Seifa, when the properties fell to her after Erusin, it's unclear her status. So Rashi explains, the Erusin oisa safek nisuin. So now we're learning, really, it's a fundamental explanation. What is Erusin? The Mishnah is teaching us Erusin, and this is something that we've seen, touched upon so many times. What is Erusin? Erusin is engagement. Erusin is beginning of the process. But Erusin is not a full-fledged ownership by the husband. And that's the reason why we're seeing so clearly that even though after Erusin the husband has some control, at some level it's bizchusai, it's in his possession, he has some ownership of the woman. But because it's not absolute, and we're not sure, in reality they're going to go and do Nisuin. Therefore, we don't know. So that's the reason why in the Seifa, in the second case, after Erusin, the Mishnah taught us, Beis Shammai said don't sell the property. But everyone agrees that once it's done, due to the suffix, it's going to work. And we continue with the quote in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Amar Lefanav Rabbi Gamliel. They said in front of Rabbi Gamliel that since the husband merits his wife, why isn't the husband getting these properties? The kasha that the Mishnah quoted. And Rabbi Gamliel responded to this, I don't understand the new din and telling me an old din. Compounding matters. Says the Gemara in the last line, what is this kasha that they're asking? Let's look at Rashi. And again, we're taking lots of Rashis. It's a smaller Amid. Hopefully it'll give us a little bit more clarity. Is the machloikes lechatchila. Optimally, what should be done? V'amri mechares lechatchila Beis Shammai ol v'zacha b'she'ersa lo yischa b'nechaseo. If one merits his wife after Erusin, certainly he should get her properties. Avol b'diavad moedik b'isel. Is the whole kasha why lechatchila Beis Shammai says after Erusin she should not sell her properties? I don't get it. They did Erusin. Or perhaps the question is, meaning Beis Shammai said after Erusin, like we just explained, due to this suffix, you should not sell the properties. But if you sold it, the sale is valid. So the Chachamim asked Rav Gamliel a question. What was the question? Was the question that since a husband merits his wife, has bailus over her, he should get her properties, was the question. So why does Beis Shammai say optimally she should not sell it? Or was the question of why does Beis Shammai say if she sold it, it works? Meaning, was it only a question lechatchila, or was it even a question b'di'evad that if she sells it, the sale should not be batal? So we turn over to Ayin Chesem and Beis, in which the Gemara continues and bring a raya. What was this question in the Mishnah? What was this question posed? Amr Lefanav Rabbi Yehuda. Tashima says the Gemara quoting a Bryce in the Daf Ayin Chesem and Beis. Titanya Amr Rabbi Yehuda Amr Lefnei Rabbi Gamliel. Since after Nisuin you're called married, after Erusin there's also a form of marriage. So just like after Nisuin, if they sold something, the sale is void, like we saw further in the Mishnah. Avzu, so too in the case of Erusin, Machrei Batal. So what do we see? We see that the question was, even on the B'diavad, the question was, why does Beis Shammai say that if it was sold, the sale is valid? We see clearly that the question was, just like there's an ownership of the husband after Nisuin, this likewise after Erusin. So just like after Nisuin, the sale should be batal, so after Erusin, the sale should be batal. And to this, Amr Lehem, Rabbi Yehuda responds, Al Chadashim, Anu Baishim, Anu Shatim, Mekagim, Leno, Shanim. I don't understand this new halacha, and you're telling me an old halacha? Shema Mina David, Kamer, Shema Mina. We see clearly that the kasha that the Chachamim asked, Amr Lefnei Rabbi Gamliel, that Rabbi Yehuda quoted, I keep on saying Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda quoted the question of Gamliel was the question that why, b'di'evet, if the sale was made, why is it valid? Even b'di'evet, they're asking that the sale should be batal. Tanya, we learned in a Brayso, Amar Rav Chanina ben Akavya, Lokach Yeshiva Rav Gamliel l'Chachamim. This was not Rav Gamliel's response. Wasn't that Rav Gamliel sort of threw up his hands and said, I don't know this new halacha, and you're telling me an old halacha? Lokach Yeshiva, and this was his answer. Rav Gamliel responds, I don't understand your question. What is the equation? You're equating Nisuin to Erusin. By Nisuin, they're fully married. They consummated the marriage. The husband gets her findings. The husband gets her wages. The husband can be made for Nadarim. Time Ruba Arusa. You asked me about Arusa. Shane by the Zaklam and Sevlam. I say, Devil, but first in Terrell. So Rav Gamliel responded, what's your question? Which I'm sure many people were bothered by. There are different halachos. After Erusin and after Nisuin. After Nisuin, they're fully married, and not after Erusin. Amru loi. So the Chacham responded, Rabbi, Mochrad shloi nises v'nises. Excuse me. Mochrad shloi nises. Nises v'achar kach mochra. If one makes a sale, and then she consummates the marriage. Or she consummates the marriage, and then makes a sale. Mahu, what's the halacha in that case? Amr lahu. Are you this case as well? It's a good sale. So Amru Loi, on this case, they responded, I don't understand. Over here, this is a case of Nisuin. So in a case of Nisuin, you're going to tell me she's still able to sell the properties. The husband merits his wife, he certainly should get her properties. And over here, but we learned in our, so the Gemara quotes that this was the case of the Chamaster of Gamliel. It says the Gemara 1 second. But our Mishnah taught us that if they didn't do Nisuin, and she inherited properties, and then they did Nisuin, Rav Gamliel, so why is that a good sale? Amar Rav Zvid, you're right. Don't learn that im machav kayom, meaning b'diavad. Rather change it, that you're allowed to sell it. And now the conversation between Rav Gamliel makes sense, that the din was you're allowed to sell it, and on this is where their question was. Rav Papa Amar, a different answer, like Kasha. Ha Rav Yudah, leave it to Rav Gamliel, or Rav Chaim and Akav, leave it to Rav Gamliel. Very simple, two different people's opinions. According to Rav Gamliel, Rav Chananya ben Akavya k'Bei Shammai, but it comes out that Rav Chananya ben Akavya seemingly is learning like Beit Shammai. No, he doesn't mean that they don't argue in this case. Continues the Gemara. Rav Ushmuel Ta'amri Tervai. Say both Rav and Shmuel. Bein shenavlo nechazim ashlo nisarsa. Bein shenavlo nechazim mishen nisarsa. V'niseis. Habal moitzi b'yad al-kuchais. Says Rav and Shmuel, very different from our Mishnah. Whether properties fell before Erusin, whether properties fell after Erusin, the husband in all of these scenarios, by virtue of mere Erusin, just after the engagement, he's allowed to be moitzi miyad al-kuchais. The Erusin is enough to allow the husband that if the wife tries to sell these properties, he could go and take it away. Kiman, says the Gemara, who does this accord with? The like Rav Yehuda, the like Rav Chaim ben Akavya. Doesn't fit with anyone. Because this statement of Rav and Shmuel is being very, very liberal. It's teaching us that after Erusin, it seems, it's almost 100% the husband's. So much so that if she tries to go and make a sale, the husband could be mighty, take it away from the purchasers. Answers the Gemara, it's true. It's not like the Rabbanan, and it's not like Rav Yehuda, and it's not like Rav Chaim ben Akavya. Enu damri ke Rabbi Seinu. It's like Rabbi Seinu Detanya. Rabbi Seinu Chazru v'nimnu. The Rabbanan came back and they learned. Bein she'naf lo achla tizares, bein shelav lo mishen nisarsa v'nises habal moitzi miyad al kuchos. So it comes out that the Rabbanan that we're quoting now, Rav and Shmuel, are learning very differently from that which we learned in the Mishnah. That which Rav Chaim ben Akavya, that which Rav Yehuda learned, comes along the Rabbanan, comes along Rav and Shmuel, and they say no. With mere Erusin, it's enough to say that there is a full-fledged marriage. I shouldn't say that, excuse me, that's incorrect. With mere Erusin, it's enough that the husband could be fully on charge of the property to the extent that if the wife tries to sell them, the husband could be moitzi miyad al-kuchis. That's the end of the first part of this discussion in the Daf. We continue with quoting the Mishnah. Mishnah says, we said in the Mishnah that with Nisuin, everyone agrees that the husband will be moitzi miyad al-kuchis, that with Nisuin, the husband has control of the properties. Says the Gemara, Leima tanina l'takana susha. Our Mishnah is seemingly concurring with the takana that they made in Usha. So the Mishnah seemingly is saying the same din. The din in Usha that they made a takana that the husband is able to the husband is able to take things away from the purchasers. Says the Gemara, no. Mas nisan bechayel lepeirais tekanasusha beguvish al karka lachar misa. And indeed, it would have been a little bit of a kasha for Mishnah just restating the din of Usha. So rather, the Gemara is explaining, no, not the same din of Usha. Our Mishnah is talking while the woman is still alive, and it's referring to the din with regard to the peirais, to the fruits, to the produce that is created by the woman and the field. Tekanas Usha was a much bigger chiddush. Tekanas Usha was teaching us a din, bekufa shel karka, the land itself, and la'achar misa. Let's take a moment to see Rashi. Rashi, towards the end of the narrow lines, says Rashi, Masnizan bechaya kamar. The husband gets the field away in order to take the fruits in her lifetime. And indeed, after our Mishnah, from what the Mishnah taught us, that Misha Nisis, once they did Nisuin, the husband could take it away from the purchasers, that was only telling us with regard to that which the field produces while the woman is alive. But what would happen if the woman would die? Then the field would revert back to the person that bought the field. And even if the husband is still alive, lo yirashena bahal, husband wouldn't get the field. Because the din of the Mishnah was not a din about the karka, about the land itself. The din of the Mishnah was about that which the land produced. And the Mishnah taught us that the husband has the rights to that. That once they did Nisuin, the husband gets that which the fields produce. And then Rashi concludes, "Va'asu b'usha b'takun tafilu kufa shel karka yerishabal." In Usha they made a takun about the karka itself, the land. The husband gets that land. To finish off today's share, go back to the Gemara of Shimon Chaylik bein Nechasim. Rav Shimon, the friendship between the Chas and the husband, knows about it, doesn't know about. Says the Gemara, Eluin Yeduin Beluin Sheinin Yeduin. What does that mean? Number of Israel Chanina Yeduin Mi Karka Yishin Yedu Metaltalai. The words husband know or doesn't know are code words for land or movables. Rav Yechon Nam Eluin Yeduin. Now both of those are called Yeduin. Ve'eluhain says the highlighting is not working. There we go. Ve'eluhain Sheinin Yeduin. What does Sheinin Yeduin mean? It means a property that fell overseas to her. A riot to the second din of Rabbi Yechanan. What's what it means? The husband doesn't know about that. Means the properties are not here. The properties are overseas, and we'll pick it up from here in the next year.